What has no right to be as difficult as it is? This is legit. People won't try it because it sounds too easy, but they'll forward you to a customer retention specialist to give you a deal too good to pass up. It doesn't hurt them at all, because they're ripping everyone off on both ends of the chain. Really? I tried this with my cable company once after reading a post like this. Called to let them know I was moving and wanted to cancel. Truly expected them to cut me a deal. Instead I got, "Okay sir, you're all set. Your service is cancelled and you won't be billed after your next cycle." I was shocked and kind of stammered out a weak unless you guys could cut me a deal? And then they transferred me to someone who got me a discount for the next year. Yep. I had a pretty regular procedure done last time when I went to get a checkup that should have been covered about 100% by my insurance due to it being preventive. That's what the doctor told me, anyway. Got billed $1K at first, because they coded it wrong. Took months of calling and sending emails to get it resolved, still ended up having to pay $300. It's pretty bad when you're afraid to go to the doctor even when you have insurance because you're not sure how much it's going to end up costing, and how much bullshit you're going to have to deal with. Unplanned surgery earlier this year. Going over the billing line by line with hospital, out-of-network surgeon, insurance company, anesthesiologist, etc. Insurance rep settled on, "You're gonna hit you out-of-pocket maximum. Does it really matter how it happens?" I get that completely changing the US health system is going to be a multi-decade process, but I felt like there are some good small areas to start. The easiest one I see of these is the out-of-network doctor in a hospital. It should not be a thing. How is the hospital not having their own staff to treat patients the patient's problem? It absolutely does not have to be a decades-long process. The only reason to draw the switch from private healthcare to universal healthcare out is to soften the blow on health insurance companies, and they can all go bankrupt for all I care. I might be wrong, but I don't feel like buying a house should be all that complicated. We've just started the process of looking and I already feel overwhelmed. Yes. 1,000 times yes. I was pregnant and on a time crunch. We were moving over 300 miles away, and I had a week to look at houses with my husband before he left to go to Germany. My original mortgage broker was on vacation, so the fill-in guy was running through the script rather fast with me and he asked, "Do you understand?" It was something about escrow and I was hitting down a lot of notes, but I burst into tears and told him no, I just need a couple hours to go over everything and he'll sign the documents when I'm ready. I vaguely heard him awkwardly stammering as I hung up. I hope that call was recorded for training purposes. I had myself a good, heavy cry in my hotel room, pulled myself together, Googled escrow, and by the time my husband got home from the new facility tour I had documents, definitions, layman's terms, and a plan. And I was down a box of tissues. Haha, we had a meeting at work once about how to attract younger people to factory work. They asked if we had any ideas. I flat out said pay 'em more. They said, well, we're competitive with the market. I'm like, which market? 'Cause it's either they make $11 an hour sweating their ass off here in 110°F heat and absolute filth shortening their life, or make $11 per hour plus commission selling cars or TVs. They then said, well, it's competitive within our field. I said, yay, when you factor in rural Alabama where $11 per hour is like gold. That pay doesn't fly around here. You guys need to be competitive within a set mile radius of your site area, or they will go sell used cars at, name local dealer, for the same money working in AC and go home clean. I knew a guy who never was late or missed a shift at a second shift gig. He was always making his quota. But his area has no fans. This summer, like 99 degrees outside, so inside must have been insanely hot. He asks if they can move one of the fans to his area since day shift was gone and weren't using them. They said no, this fans had to stay in that area. He asks if he can bring his own. She says no, doesn't want to have to step around a fan when she walks to her office. Dude put up with it for another few days till he nearly passed out. He walked out on the job. Started shopping for Instacart and made more per hour don't that on his own schedule with no boss. Factories are horrible. It's too bad we needed them so bad. A couple weeks ago, I was looking at an internship for an environment technician that wanted a master's in environmental science, as well as an engineering degree or finishing an engineering degree within the next year. All for the great starting pay of $16.50 to $18 per hour. So basically 8 to 9 years of higher education for $16.50 per hour. The preferred candidates needed 2 years of experience. So fucked up. I feel like these people don't understand what entry level is supposed to mean. It reminds me of this one post I saw. A programmer mentioned how he was not qualified because he needed more years of experience in a programming language than years since the language was invented by him. Edit, this was a long time ago I saw it. I don't remember any more than I said in my comment. Leaving a restaurant with my family. Okay, meal is over, let's say our goodbyes and head out. Okay, standing next to the table, let's say our goodbyes and head out. Okay, just outside the front door, let's say our goodbyes and head out. Okay, made it to the parking lot, let's say our goodbyes and head out. FFS, just say bye and walk away. Why is this so hard? We live close to my husband's sisters and it takes at least an hour to say goodbye at the end of visits. Our kids have learned to not bother getting ready to go until the second or third time asked. Fuck, I hate this so much with my in-laws. At my parents' house, we'll say goodbye, we'll walk out, they'll maybe see us to the door and we leave. It's fast and easy. At my in-laws, we have to do all the goodbyes to every single person, and God forbid we're the first to leave because that takes even longer, not that this ever happens, because for some fucking reason we have to be the ones to shut down the party every goddamn time. But then my in-laws will actually walk outside and follow us all the way to the goddamned car and have to say goodbye to the kids again while we're loading up and trying to close the door to fucking drive away. I don't want to be rude, so I just go with it most of the time, but shit, it's grating on me over time. They're all wonderful people and I love all of them. But we see them all the time, it's not like it's going to be even a few days until we're there again. Just let us leave and get going so we can get the kids to bed. Young kids don't really have the forward thinking or mental blocks that plague adults. Kids are pretty carefree and are unaware of a lot of things. When you don't have these mental blocks or that voice inside of your head, it's pretty easy to meet and make friends. Think of it as a weird ignorance is bliss. I saw a YouTube video once, adults had an earpiece in and a kid was watching them through a camera and telling them what to do. It was so awesome. Adult sits on bench next to other adult. Kid, tell them their shoes and pretty. Obeys, conversation ensues. Kid, ask them if they want to play at your house later. Boom, adult makes a friend. Obviously didn't get to see how it ended long term. It was so wholesome and a great reminder about how our own mental blocks stop us so much of the time. As a man, I'm really glad I don't have them. But also hate watching the so have to put up with all the bullshit associated with them. Looked up why humans have them and most other, non-ape, mammals don't. Turns out we aren't 100% sure, but the prevailing theory seems to be. We like to fuck a lot, and all the time, most of us. My GF didn't get the memo, but that's beside the point. This is different than most animals, which tend to only fuck around the time of ovulation. As it turns out, sperm and eggs have less shelf life than yogurt kept at room temperature. And old sperm/old eggs don't make for great babies. So instead of supporting said genetically inferior embryo, which will burrow into your uterine wall to drench itself in your blood, you build a wall of tissue for it to stick itself into, and then just detach the whole damn thing and send it all off into oblivion, aka your underwear, at the worst possible time, like 2 weeks before it's meant to, when you're wearing your favorite pair of cute white short shorts, during a gathering of your peers. DL, doctor, fuck you, read it, it's interesting. Actual DL, doctor, humans fuck a lot and therefore old eggs/sperm will meet and try to grow a genetic fuck up, which would be calorically expensive to bring to term, so your uterus lulls the embryo into a false sense of security with a soft warm lining before firing it out of the airlock that is your cervix. This whole process hurts and is generally regarded to be a bad time. Here's a way to put it into perspective. When you run, you use about 100 calories per mile. A full marathon is 26.2 miles, ergo 2,620 calories. To burn 1 pound of fat requires you to burn 3,000 calories, so a full marathon doesn't quite get you there. Time spent doing marathon? 4 to 8 hours depending on fitness. A large steakhouse beef dip from Quiznos circa 2012, when I last had this sandwich, eating them 2 times a day, has about 2,400 calories in just the sandwich. Time spent obtaining and eating sandwich? Less than 15 minutes. You can't outrun the fork. T_T. Was really convenient for the millions of years of mankind before the 1700s, 1900s, agricultural and industrial revolutions. Now in the age of artificial sugars, mass production, office jobs, and the automobile? Not so much. I called over 90 when my primary care refused to keep filling my ADHD medication after 21 years. I got not a single doctor out of all those calls who could/would return my call and take me on, not because of anything I did or didn't do. 95% didn't ever even call me back, and others were like, we only deal with residential patients or we only deal with kids under 16. Anyway, the important thing. Why did my doctor refuse to keep giving me ADHD medication after all those years? Because the insurance company sent them a letter and said that I was filling my prescriptions early too often and that they should be concerned about drug addiction. What is filling my scripts early, you may ask? Well, my doctor would call in the refill once a month and the pharmacy would fill it the first day the insurance allowed. I'd get a text, and pick it up within a few days. It didn't matter that I wasn't picking up my meds too often. Something you can even effing do because the pharmacy and your insurance won't let you. I was picking up the meds every 31, 32, 35 days, but because the pharmacy filled it on the 28th day, I was held responsible, called a drug addict, and was almost kicked out of my doctor's office after 8 years of having a wonderful relationship with him. I went in person, to talk to the doctor, was refused, was told I could talk only to the office manager. After explaining the entire thing, I was still told I could no longer ever be prescribed a controlled substance, ever, for any reason. Because my insurance called me a possible drug addict. It does not help that I'm a chronic pain patient on opiates. I didn't mention it above, because just like it didn't have anything to do with my post, it also had absolutely nothing to do with what happened, but my pervasive fear was that if my primary care doctor was completely ready to fire me over a single letter, refusing any facts, like the pickup dates from the pharmacy etc., that WTF was I going to do if after 10 years on the same dosage of pain medication for a very permanent condition, what if I'd be forced to stop taking it because my pain management doctor got that same letter? I did bring it up to her. Her response? We get those letters from insurance companies every single month for anyone on opiates. I'm sure it scares doctors who are new to it, but I have access to the state database. You aren't filling it early. You aren't picking it up early. You aren't asking for more, seeing multiple doctors for multiple scripts, or acting intoxicated. You've never failed a random drug test. You've told me about every surgery and every medical procedure you've had. I would never fire a patient over something so stupid as a letter from insurance. I am so very lucky to have her. Nah, opposable thumbs and fine motor control are awesome. The great apes stayed mostly on all fours, so they are faster and stronger in every way, but manipulating small objects with precision the way we do requires different kinds of muscles, less power, more precise. By going bipedal, we traded raw strength, speed, and natural weapons, claws, fangs, horns, venom, for intelligence, fine motor control, more energy-efficient foraging/traveling, and the ability to carry our tools/weapons/infants. Traumatic birth is partially due to bipedalism, causing the hips to be more narrow, but is also just due to our heads being so damn big. Gotta have a big skull for our giant frontal lobes. Just be glad that evolution worked out in such a way that we are basically born still a fetus, and are just able to survive outside the womb. If we wanted to be born at the same stage of cognitive development as newborn chimps, our gestation period would be roughly 20 months. Also, growing a person inside you is very expensive to your body. The energy demand of the mother's body and that of their unborn child would likely exceed what she could sustainably provide. Fetuses are literally parasites, and will take as many nutrients from the mother as they can, even to the point of killing their mother. The mother's body limits what the fetus can take, so that it doesn't kill them both. At some point it is unsustainable, and thus the eject button, labor, is pushed. DL, doctor, human fetuses got big ass heads, and suck up calories like a fat kid at a buffet. Mom's body gotta say fuck this shit, get it out before it kills them both. Just count your lucky stars that we don't birth children the size of 2-year-olds. The fewer resources a language has for it, the harder it is to learn. My googling tells me Kannada has tilde 40 meters speakers and Konkani tilde 7 meters. Those are extremely low numbers compared to Russian or German, and the challenge is accordingly much steeper. I respect the desire to learn a lesser-known language. I myself would love to tackle something like a Maya language one day. If you actually want to do this, you need to be extra patient with yourself. Don't give up so easily. Yes, surrounding yourself with speakers of that language works a treat. I learned Italian in school, more than 30 years ago. In 1994 I spent a month in Italy. The first week was hell, all parlingues, and consulting the phrase book. By the end of week 2 I was not only asking questions cleanly and correctly, but ordering meals, carrying on conversations about the weather, and discussing the quality of the wine. I even started using my hands like the Italians. I think some of them were amused at the Aussie accent. I don't mean clean as in not cursing, but clean as in getting all the words, grammar, and syntax correct.